Welcome to another episode of Brown Girls Are Beautiful. I'm your hostess and your melanated queen, y'all. I am extremely exhausted today. I feel so out of it, and I should have been gone, y'all. But I have a very late start to my day, so I don't have a lot of time to be on here. And I wanted to talk about this later, but I'd rather go ahead and get it out the way and talk about it now. So, for those of you who did not hear or who may not have heard, there's a guy and he's in the political realm by the name of Charlie Kirk. I didn't know who he was, did not know he existed until I kept seeing his name come across my feed on YouTube, all right, all across the internet. And I started getting suspicious. So, of course, I did a little digging and research and found out that basically he was, like I don't know, like a campaign organizer. He spoke about politics and he spoke at like public platforms at colleges. And apparently, he was a friend to Candace Owens. Candace Owens is allegedly supposed to be some type of civil rights activist that's tied to this guy in a personable way, as in a friendly fashion. So she was talking about him on her platform. But yeah, I want to get into the rhetoric that surrounded Charlie Kirk. And I started watching some of his speeches and, his political, I guess, ideas last night. And there were a couple of things I agreed with and some I did not. All right. Um, Also, too, I did find the clip of where it looks like there was an assassination that took place as he was live giving a political speech, and that was very shocking and very disturbing. It looked like he got shot in his neck, y'all. But anyway, I wanted to kind of address some of the things that I feel like people are not really taking into account when it comes to Charlie. All right. So, for my people out there, these are his viewpoints when it comes to the melanated community. And this is why I have this channel, because I think it's very important that we don't actually get overlooked. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to make sure that people are not, let me see here. So, and people are very mad too because I'm going to be talking about this, and I really don't care. If you come on here with any type of negativity and hate speech, you're going to get reported. You're going to be blocked. So, I don't really care about your feelings right now. F your feelings. If you didn't know, today is F Your Feelings Friday. I have a whole line of series dedicated to F Your Feelings Friday. So, if you are of a different ethnic race and you don't want to hear what I have to say, get off my channel. That's why it's entitled Brown Girls Are Beautiful. Obviously, that lets you know that this channel is for, people that has some sense and they understand that we have to talk about these things, because if we don't, there are some people that feel that they're privileged to come on and talk about stupidity, and I'm not having it. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. Okay, and nobody's going to stop me from playing what I'm going to play. Nobody's going to stop me from talking about what I'm going to talk about. And nobody's going to dissuade me from speaking up for my melanated people. Whether you like it or not, get off this channel. And if my moderators are in the building, we're not tolerating anything. Don't give warnings. Go ahead and block them permanently. All right, so let's look at this. This was it says, how long ago was this? August the 11th. So just last month, about a month ago. I'm going to play this, y'all.
People of color and marginalized groups in spaces, even if they're not so and so
correct. That's exactly what DEI does.
But that's not all that it does. You're categorizing it as something it isn't.
No, that's exact. That is like that is the charter missions.
That's not all.
Okay, so diversity, equity. So equity is outcome based. Okay. Is about making people who are of different skin colors have the same outcome, regardless whether or not they are qualified. The best example we have of this is the Students for Fair Admission Harvard Supreme Court case, where black students, they did not, literally, they could have a SAT score 300 points lesser than the Asian equivalent and still get into Harvard. That is DEI in practice. I believe when you're hiring for an organization or for a company or for whatever you are doing, you should prioritize merit, and character, and race should mean nothing. We should build around things that matter and not things that don't matter.
All right, so let's get into that. If race did not matter, if okay, Mr. Yak, I do agree that people should be qualified for the positions that they're applying for. But if race did not matter, why was there affirmative action? If race did not matter, well, why was DEI put into place? And as a matter of fact, I really didn't come on this channel talking about DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, because I feel like sometimes it takes the real attention off of what needs to be addressed. So I don't really fall into a lot of the antics that the media pushes out here when it comes to a matter of race, but I do speak up from my experience, from my perspective of what I've seen. And I will say this, I feel, and not just I feel, I know and I've experienced and I've spoken to a multitude of melanated females out here and males that have degrees, have not only bachelor degrees, have master's degrees. And if race did not matter, there is a reason that your counterpart that does not have a degree, that is Caucasian, will start the same position as you with your experience and your degree at a higher compensation rate. So we can't sit here and say that race does not matter. Race does matter, and it's always mattered, and they make it matter in America. They're the ones that misuse and mistreat melanated people on a global level. Let's not just stigmatize America only, but it really sets the precedence here because they play like a race bait so much into the media. And so I think where Charlie Kirk fails to recognize this is because he is not a melanated female and he's not a melanated male, so he does not understand what it's like to actually have to go through that. So I very much disagree with that rhetoric. Let's keep going because I also feel that too, whenever people come onto these platforms, it is very important to understand how to articulate yourself to get across the narrative that you're trying to get across. This guy right here was trying his best, and a lot of times the audience was clapping for Charlie Kirk, but some of this I did not agree with. So let's keep going so we can listen.
You have to also take into
Sorry, y'all. Hold on one second. Yeah, people are not going to agree with this, and that's
the fact
okay.
that black people have only been able to completely legally be able to make profit for themselves for around 60 years. And this is no. Since segregation ended in 1965 and the Equal Rights Act in 1965. So what you're telling, there's not.
How did that, so let's talk about you. How did that impact you? How did something that happened 60 years ago impact your life?
It impacts me all the time.
How?
What do you? Okay.
You're at Texas A&M. You're doing great.
Okay. Yes. Sure. Yeah.
So aren't you a living example that all that's a bunch of nonsense and you can just act good and behave well and succeed?
But there's also living examples of the exact opposite. If you look in the impoverished neighborhoods in certain parts of Chicago or St. Louis, there's black.
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it right now. So, some of you, hey, YouTuber, hey, how are you? Some people say he's right, some people say he's wrong. Somebody said we can disagree, but it's important to discuss. I agree. So, I think there are a lot of hostility and tensions on each side. I, for one, I'm not going to be like getting hypersensitive about it. I know that people are going to come into the comment section because they're very sensitive about what happened to him. I'm not celebrating what took place because this was done by another Caucasian person that did not agree with his antics. What I am saying is I have actually lived through some of these things that this guy is talking about. Now, we want to get into the segregation. I'm going to tell you something. When my mother was alive, segregation took place in the school system, but because because before that, there were white schools and there were black schools. There were people that went to school on white buses and people went to school on black buses. That was not that long ago. And if we want to get into the school systems, because I also substitute teach, I also get to travel from school to school, and I see how the economics is spread out differently according to who lives in those school districts and those school zones and those zip codes. So there are people that have access to better resources, and usually these people are not melanated people. Okay, those children don't look like us, and this is something that is on it's on a global scale, especially here in America. Also, we want to talk about real estate because I'm a realtor. So there was an Equal Housing Act passed only in 1968. That was not that long ago, only 57 years ago. And if we want to talk about DEI, okay, there's a reason that Equal Housing Act had to be passed because melanated people were not allowed to practice real estate or to purchase homes, right? They were redlined and they still are. They were blockbusted and they still are. There's a such thing called steering and it still exists. So when people like Charlie Kirk like to get on platforms and make these, bold, baseless statements about, the impact and the effects of what melanated people encounter, they I'm sorry, I got a text coming in from another realtor. Okay, sorry. Okay, okay, hold on one second, y'all. I got to put this on hold for a second. I have a client that I'm working with. Okay. Sorry, y'all. This is very important. Time is of the essence, y'all. So let me just screenshot this. Hold on. Copy. And I got to send this to my client. Sorry. She's trying to get a house, y'all. So, hold on. This is from the listing agent. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. But yeah, I'm not going to apologize because my client comes first. So, as I'm talking about real estate, like I was saying, there's a reason that the Equal Housing Opportunity Act, the Equal Housing Act had to be passed in 1968 because there's a such thing as blockbusting. Basically, blockbusting is when you try to have people to move to a certain location. Steering is trying to steer your clients into moving into a certain location. And redlining is basically what the banks were practicing back then and still practice till this day. And there actually was the Real Estate Commission sent a letter out to us as realtors apologizing. This was just last year, and I have that email saved, apologizing to us for the discriminatory practices that have been taking place in real estate. So to sit here on a national platform and to be a Caucasian male, not enduring these things, and to try to speak about the melanated experience, he cannot. He cannot do that. He has no claims. The claims that he's making is coming from a place of privilege. All right. So let's keep going, y'all.
Communities being thrown aside because they're not getting education.
Thrown aside? Okay,
yes,
so
aside.
I think we can get somewhere. Why have the black community gotten poorer since the passage of the Civil Rights Act? Tell me that.
Because of the way the culture has been perpetuated through the years.
Think about it. So they were richer when we were segregated and more racist. America's become less racist.
What about Tulsa?
Yeah, no one's going to defend what happened in Tulsa again. But let's talk.
But
we're talking about a lot of different cities. We're talking about Chicago, Tulsa. But let's again.
So, dirty money, I'm not going to sit here and defend and say that being black ruined my life. First of all, I don't identify with the term black. I'm not black. Black is a color, it's not a nationality. Secondly, I didn't say it ruined my life. What I am stating, okay, if you want to act like you have some type of sense of discernment, is that there's a different experience that melanated people face here in America before these so-called Caucasians came over here. All right. If you can't be respectful, then you can go too. All right. Because I'm about to ban you. Go ahead and you can be removed. I'm not dealing with the nonsense today. All right. So y'all come in here with the stupid stuff, you're going to get removed. I'm not feeding into it. This is for my melanated people. This is for people that actually understand where I'm coming from. So with that being said, they want to understand Oh, you said you're a full grown black man? Okay. Well, if you identify with the term black, then that's on you. And if you're fully grown, then you should understand where I'm coming from since you're a so called black man. I didn't say black actually ruined my life. I actually like my skin complexion. I actually love how the Creator made me. I love the person that I am. So there's nothing wrong with me. I am saying that the experience is different here in America. I used to live in Germany for 5 years, dirty money. Okay. And I'm not an African American either. I identify with being Native American because if you look into my family lineage, I actually have Native American lineage in my background. So I don't identify with the term African American or black. So let's get that straight. Anyway, like I was saying, as far as them talking about melanated people and the Civil Rights Act, let's take it back to when we started integrating. I feel that melanated people were thriving financially before we started integrating. I think that integration actually caused us more harm. Now, we were misled, in my personal opinion, by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., because at the end of it all, he said, I led my people down a burning building. And if you all didn't know, the CIA was also using Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. People don't talk about that aspect, but he was being used as well by the CIA. And when they were done with him, they had him assassinated as well. So I think people really need to do some digging into the research. Everything that they present to us, we have to have a second look at it. So I want to also press this issue. Why is it that every year for February and Black History Month, they press Dr. Martin Luther King down our throats? They shove Ms. Rosa Parks down our throats when we know that Rosa Parks was not the first and was not the only one that negated to give up her seat. It was that 15-year-old girl that I did a video on this channel and my other channel, but they didn't want to use that 15-year-old girl because she was darker complected and because she was actually pregnant, and they didn't think it would be a good look. So they overlooked this girl and gave that legend or whatever she stood up for, they gave that to Rosa Parks. And Rosa Parks, I think she, was like 42 years old at the time. So let's get our facts straight. Let's stop miseducating people and let's stop shoving their narrative of our history down our younger generation's throat. Now we want to talk about why are melanated people disenfranchised, because that's what they were just talking about on this platform with Charlie Kirk and that guy. One thing he did not want to talk about are the Tulsa, Oklahoma bombings, which did not just take place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It also took place in Charlotte, North Carolina, and other cities as well. But every time that melanated people start thriving as a whole, they have to worry about being disenfranchised by someone else and being targeted. So every time they try to climb up the totem pole, they're always kicked back down. He's not going to understand that or recognize that, nor are these so-called privileged people going to understand that, because they're not melanated people going through this. There's been so many instances that people are always going through an uphill battle when it comes to finances, y'all. We just talked about the other day, if you check out my other channels, the 320,000 melanated females that were departed from their jobs. And people always like to make excuses for these practices, right? I actually think as a whole, we would have done better if we would have stayed segregated. But when people fight so much to integrate, this is basically the treatment that you receive, because you're never going to seem good enough for some of these people. And I'm not one to try to prove myself to anybody that does not recognize my value. I could care less. I wasn't put here for a Caucasian person to recognize my value or to prove myself to these people. I was put here for the reason that my creator put me here. And so for people who don't like that and cannot accept that, that is too bad. Get off the channel. You can click off. This is for my melanated people that understand where I'm coming from. Now, let's keep going, because Charlie Clark, what's his name? Charlie Kirk, excuse me, makes some very blatant statements that, are kind of disturbing when it comes to these melanated topics. So let's keep going.
This is a very important point. Do you think the fact that 70% of black youth don't have a dad around is probably pretty important?
That's because of the culture.
So respectfully allow me to interject. How does the white
Dirty Money, I'm glad your blackness never held you back. Good for your experience, okay? Good for you. But I have spoken to melanated females that have actually gone through antagonizing, harassment on their jobs. And there are multiple people that have I've spoken with that are colleagues of mine, that are realtors of mine, that have multiple degrees that have gone through this on jobs. So just because you didn't experience it does not mean that some of our melanated ladies have not experienced it and some of our melanated men have not experienced. So good for you. Okay? I don't need you coming into my comment section telling me about your isolated experience when the consensus proves otherwise. This if this channel is not for you, then you can click off as well. All right, let's keep going, y'all. So he wants to talk about melanated fathers being in the household. And I do think that there's some credence to that as well. I think more melanated men need to be there for their children. I think this is a topic that needs to be addressed as a whole. And I think that also melanated females, we need to actually set the precedence of having more standards for who we procreate with. I will say that. I also know that there's a lot of domestic violence that takes place in all different communities. And when that is taking place, you can't stay with someone just because that's the father of your children if they are turning into a crazy abuser, because that can lead to your untimely demise. We just saw in the media all these females that have had children by men being taken out by these men. So should she stay in that relationship or should she leave with her life? So we have to think about that as well. All right. And I'm not going to be keep going back and forth in the comment section either. All right,
Culture
let's keep
impact
going,
effect,
y'all.
whether or not a black dad stays around when he impregnates a
I'm not
woman.
saying it's the white culture.
What is it?
The culture that has been perpetuated through the 200 years of slavery, the 100 years of segregation, and Jim Crow laws.
The marriage. So I got to interject again. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt too much. But in 1960, before the Civil Rights Act, 20% of black youth had a dad around. Now.
All right. So you said she doesn't realize that just being born in USA, you are already more privileged than most. You know what? I understand the magnitude of the USA being more privileged than other countries, but being melanated in America does not necessarily mean that you're more privileged than Caucasians. So let's get that straight. It's not an even playing field. And if you're not melanated, you really know you don't need to be even commenting in my comment section. And if you haven't gone through discrimination and harassment, you really don't have a basis to say anything. It's vice versa. Women could be just as dangerous too, but let's not get on that subject. And I also speak about that on this channel. I talk about melanated females that actually are jealous and envious of other melanated females. I, for one, have been through that many times as well. I've been through it in multiple ways. I've been through it with Caucasians and I've been through it with melanated people as well. So I can speak about these things because I've actually lived through it. And I don't make baseless claims. You said you know nothing about me. That's pretty racist. Well, you're racist for being on here trying to argue with me. You can get off the channel. We are privileged because we are within the nations that abuse many others. That well, I don't agree with America abusing others. That's something that your Caucasian counterparts came over here doing. We melanated people didn't tell the Caucasian people to start wars with all these different countries. That's not really the fabric of what we believe in the first place. You need to go out there and protest against these wars because melanated people does not really have political power when it comes to making these decisions in the first place. We are out here trying to have a better way of life, trying to not be targeted and harassed on our jobs. A lot of people being shot down and mishandled by the police. So I think that's something that y'all need to address. Let's keep going.
I'm sorry, 20% were single fathers, 80% had a dad around. It's been inverted. So we actually have seen black dads run away from their kids the last 60 years. Why is that?
Because of the raised incarceration rates, because of the perpetuated culture.
So how does one go to jail?
That's obvious. I'm not answering that.
Yeah, so maybe it's because they committed crimes.
Okay, but when you're forced it's not just this is old, this is in the past, this doesn't affect you anymore.
Dirty Money, I'm not my worst enemy. You can get off the channel. I'm not going back and forth for you. Go ahead and be gone. Goodbye. Okay? You're your worst enemy. You can go. Okay? Bye and don't come back.
Actually, let's take a different group. How did the Holocaust impact Jews? They're doing pretty well.
Well, because they got reparations, we didn't.
How? What reparations did the Jews
Through
get?
acknowledgement, through money, through
No,
all.
we acknowledge slavery happened. So,
Okay, but you're sitting.
Okay, and they want to glaze over that. We acknowledge slavery happened. But you notice every time he brings up a valid point that impacts history from not just then, but it still impacts us today, they like to glaze over it. And this is what they've always done. It's like, oh yeah, we know it happened. Let's move on. And and that's not right.
Acting like it plays no role.
no,
now.
but to your argument, the Holocaust was 80 years ago. Half of all the Jews on the
Let's see. Suds, no, I'm not a Democratic voter. I don't know what makes you think that. No, I'm not. What are you? Robson Holland, why don't you go get a job? Why don't you go get one? You lazy, poor thing. You're so miserable. Let's go ahead and get you off here as well. Let's talk about the black slave owners. I'm not going to talk about that. Kirk is right, and I'm sorry, but he is. So he is right in some degree, and he's wrong in many ways as well.
planet were killed. Everything they earned was taken. Jews are doing great. If all of a sudden something that happened 80 years ago impacts your material prosperity, how did Jews defy the curve? How did poor Asians do so well? Why is it that Asians are now the...
Oh, Robson, you are the problem. Why are you over here? Go ahead and you can go as well. Now you don't have to worry about me being a problem, okay?
wealthiest minority in
Why don't
America?
why don't you and you still here? Why are people so attracted to Brown Girls Are Beautiful's channel all of a sudden today? I thought we were a major issue, melanated people. Why are they coming over here if we're such a big issue? The channel says Brown Girls Are Beautiful, and y'all are coming into my comment section when I'm addressing the people that this actually impacts. Y'all are mad because Charlie Kirk is no longer here. You know who the problem is? The problem are your people that actually assassinated this man. And this probably came from a higher up. I don't think a 22-year-old by the name of Tyler Robinson did this by himself. I think this was an orchestrated hit, and I think he got basically paid to do this. And it's for a deeper reason than what they're putting to the forefront. This has nothing to do with him talking about melanated people. We know when melanated people is involved in the conversation, other people don't care unless they're impacted by it.
with no money in the 1950s or 60s.
Because of the culture and opportunities that were provided.
This video was created by AI.
Yeah, they might be interested in the topic, but they're not going to come on here being disrespectful and rude.
But you're not hearing me out. Black Americans have had the same opportunities. However,
Here, people still look at us like criminals every day.
hold on, but like, I don't look.
So we're not worshiping skin tones, golden, okay? We're not worshiping skin tones. I don't know who told you we were worshiping skin tones. And if my channel name is Brown Girls Are Beautiful and you don't like it, you can click off as well. Why am I being a victim? You answer that for yourself, okay? I'm going to go ahead and remove you as well. It's not about color. You are so ignorant. Robinson Holland, why are you still here? Like, how can you go? All right, I'm gonna just let you go permanently, okay? So a lot of people coming on here are very ignorant, and if you come on here with ignorant comments, you're gonna get blocked. So stay that way.
I'm not saying
But-
you do.
but
I'm
the-
saying some people do.
But I mean, do you want me to be brutally honest with you, or do you want me to be
Yes,
politically
be
correct?
brutally honest with me.
Okay. Do black people commit more crimes than white people? It's not even close.
Okay.
Okay.
But you have to take into account the culture that has been perpetuated.
Okay, got it. So we can agree on this. Do you mean internal black culture?
It's not. It's deeper than that. Like,
Do you think? Let's take time out. Do you think the average rap artist that a black kid in the
Okay, so Mill, hold on, what's your Mill said, but I don't know what this has to do with Charlie. He cares for the black community. He wants y'all to have a strong family unit and less crime in the community. First of all, I come from a strong family unit. So let's start there. I have both my parents, thank God, they're still alive. They've been married for decades, okay? So this is why I have this channel, because I want to set the precedence for what I want to see in society. And that's why I have this channel named Brown Girls Are Beautiful. I talk about a multitude of topics on here. And I've seen the difference between living in Germany for 5 years of my life and being in America. There is a big racial war that goes on in America, and I can speak about living in sections where this country is very segregated, and I've lived in multi-diversity, multicultural areas of this nation as well. So I actually come from a background where I integrated and grew up going to school with a multitude of different nationalities. So you're not talking to somebody that's ignorant, and you're not speaking to someone that does not have multiple degrees. You're not speaking to someone that doesn't actually go out here in the community and work with people. So if you're coming on here with a baseless claim and a stupid statement, you're going to get blocked, because I'm not here to prove myself to any of you. I am here for the people that this actually impacts. And if you cannot actually understand that, then that's not my problem. You should be glad that you have not been through some of the injustices that melanated people have been through while you make these baseless claims. Cool G said, "What's your ethnicity?" I'm just asking. Cool G, my first cousin did a DNA, one of those DNA tests. So I'm just gonna go by what his came back, because we're first cousins. So on my daddy's side, so it came back that we have. He said that there was 30% European in the blood. There was another percentage was, I feel it was some part of Africa. He said, and I can't remember if it was like Sudan or somewhere, because a lot of people tell me that I look like I come from Ethiopia. I've gotten that most of my life. I'm Ethiopian. I have a lot of Africans telling me that. So I don't know. And then part of it was Eastern Asia, East Asia, is what came back for him. And I've heard people tell me that they thought that I had some type of Asian in me or Hawaiian in me. So that is what it is. Okay. That's as far as what I know. I went off of his DNA test because we're first cousins, blood relatives on my daddy's side. That's all I can tell you. All right. And we're Native American because my great grandmother was definitely a Native American. So that's all I can tell you. Um, let's keep going. I didn't say he deserved to be shot, Kevin. Where do you get that from? That sounds like complete and utter nonsense. Did I ever come on here and say that this man deserved to be shot in his neck? That's not what I said. You're completely missing the point. Um, let me see. The kid in the video has no life experience. He's speaking from modern privilege. I think that the boy in the video could have been more articulate at trying to prove his point. This is why reading is so important. And this is why it's important to be able to know how to write. That's good, but it's not personal to you. Okay, you know they paid him and aided him in this. As I believe so, Travis Jackson, because how is it that this guy could have gotten on a rooftop and nobody had in broad daylight and nobody saw him with a weapon? They said he got up there and allegedly changed clothes. I'm thinking, where were the snipers? Where was the security to not be scoping out the crowd? And it reminds me of the whole situation when Trump got shot in the ear that time. I still don't understand it. I don't know who Anthony Johnson is. Let me see. I didn't attack you. I'm defending Charlie's stance towards the American blacks. Okay. You're not all melanated people, though. Golden, I consider myself melanated, and I can claim whatever I want to claim, okay? So you can't sit here and tell me what I am, all right? I say melanated, I don't say black, I don't say African American, all right? Because stating African, meaning that means that my continent is in Africa and then I'm an American. I was not from Africa. I come from America. I was born in America. All right. I have native indigenous ties to this land. So that's why I say melanated, because I feel like that's a more general term when we're speaking of people that are melanated. And if you don't understand that, then I'm sorry for you. You said, I know what you're saying, brown girls, but I just look at everything from a Native American aspect with the same aspects you do. Yes. And I also claim Native American as well, because when I spoke to my grandmother and they already had land here, I didn't hear them say, "Oh, I came off on a slave ship." That's not what my ancestors told me. So I'm not going to sit up here and claim something when I spoke directly to my ancestors. And if people don't like that, then too bad. How do you feel about Charlie Kirk passing away? Viewer Anonymous, I really didn't know who Charlie Kirk was until I started to do some research into him. Now, I want to say 2 points about Charlie Kirk. When I was watching his video last night, there was a point that he made that I did agree with, and I want to play that video as well if I can find it. He started talking about college, and he was saying that, in his opinion, college doesn't really count because he never went to college, right? And he said that you can be self educated and self taught and in pursuit of knowledge. And I definitely agree with that because there have been a lot of people that started businesses without a college education. There have been people that actually own businesses without being college educated. My grandfather, for one. And I know of a couple of other people in that scenario. And in this day's time, and he was saying because AI is starting to take over jobs and this could affect many different people, I do agree with that as well. I do feel that college is not necessary for a lot of things that it would have been necessary for maybe 10, 15 to 20 years ago. And I think the whole college narrative that's been pushed puts a lot of people into an unrealistic expectation in a very ever-changing world where AI is becoming more apparent to taking over jobs. So I do agree with him in some aspects, but not all aspects that he speaks of. Okay, so and my feelings about him passing is it's very tragic that his family had to witness something like that on national TV because I saw the actual footage and it's very um, oh, it was very grotesque. Okay, that man had blood pouring from his neck. And I'm not trying to be insensitive, but I saw that. And I also saw that stabbing of that guy that took that lady's life from Ukraine. Um, I think her name was Irina, if I can remember properly. And that was very tragic as well. So I just don't think that melanated people are out here happy about what happened. And I'm not going to celebrate anyone's death, okay? Because nobody knows how long we're going to be here or when we're going to go. So that's not something that I necessarily support. You know, if other people are out there bragging about it, that's on them. I've seen Caucasian people come on bragging about it as well. And, you know, that's just not something that I support. You said, what have I been through, high speed? I've been through a lot. If you look at my channel, maybe you'll find out, but I'm not going to talk about it right here, right now. You said, do your thing. Thank you so much. Latinos are not brown. We are. I don't know what you mean by that. Okay. He supports the black community, is all. Okay, if you think so. Oh my gee, this is gibberish again. Too early for this. Well, get off here then. I don't care if it is gibberish to you. You can go. Okay. You're not going to stop me from having my channel. I think the guy that even asked him the question had something to do with it. Okay. Latinos are brown too. Okay. It says you're delusional. Okay, well, if you think I'm delusional, you can go. You don't have to be here. All right? As simple as that. And y'all not going to really get much of like you people think that I'm going to like get irate and get upset and all of that. You're not going to get that reaction from me because I know how a lot of y'all work and I know how y'all operate and y'all get very upset when you don't get the response that you want. Y'all like to gaslight a lot and I feel like Charlie Kirk likes to gaslight in certain topics when it comes to the melanated community as well. So that's not going to work over here. Okay. Block anyone who spits facts. Well, if you think you're spitting facts, go on your platform and spit them. You don't have to be here to spit them. You said people are evil. Yes, they are. It's so easy to stand on the shoulders of giants and make brash statements. Yes, that's true, Golden. Very true. Fox Galaxy, how are you? I'm glad to see you in the building. Fox Galaxy, I'm going to make you a moderator. So if you see anything that is out of line, go ahead and do your thing. Claims don't make it true. Okay, and that's fine too. You said, hold on, I'm just going down your comment section. Well said, bravo. One person is not all of who share the same skin tone. I didn't say they were. And if that's what you get from that, then that's on you. All right. You said, how am I? I'm doing good. Rest in peace, Charlie. Wow, you claim abuse. I didn't claim abuse and speak of wrongdoing, yet don't know who Anthony Johnson is. Nobody claimed abuse over here, so I don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't make sense. I don't get your statement, okay? And I thought I tried to hide you. You can go too. All right? So why don't we say Irish American? Exactly. It is racist to say African American. Is Trump German American? Exactly. I've heard people talk about Chinese Americans. I've heard that title before, but I don't hear people say Irish American or Scandinavian American. All these people that come from Europe and all these different countries over there, I don't hear them say those things. So that's why I don't claim African American. It's obvious that I have African DNA in my lineage, right? But I'm not going to sit up there and call myself an African American because I don't identify with that. I am Native American, born on this land. I'm an indigenous Native person. Okay, it is segregated. That's why they have Latino communities, Asian communities. Yeah, it is true. America is very segregated, y'all. And I didn't realize how segregated it was until we moved back over here. Okay, they really push race a lot over here. And it is very unfortunate because that's not the background from which I stem from. It says, let me see, CK was assassinated. He wanted his files open for the world to see. That's very unfortunate, love the bit, especially in Los Angeles. You earned my sub. Keep preaching. Thank you, Sid. Let me see. They might not say Irish American, but there definitely is a term that is Euro American. Okay, Euro American. Did you like Kirk? Master, I didn't know Kirk. I just found out about him recently because he was popping up on my feed, and I said, let me look into, what some of the things he had going on. What was his rhetoric? And like I said, there were a few things I did agree on. There are some things I do not like when he starts trying to tell someone about their experience. I don't think that you can tell the person about their experience until you actually walk in their shoes. That's the point that I'm making. All right, and that's a lot of people are not going to agree with that, and that's fine. The Kirk thing is not related to Epstein. It's not a cover up. LOL, they dropped more files that day. I don't think they're ever going to really release the Epstein files, y'all. I think there are so many high elected officials and politicians and also other celebrities involved in that is too big that I don't think they're ever going to release it. That's just my personal opinion. I'm a Pueblo Indian. Oh, Pueblo in the building. And I know I'm a descendant of Asians because all Native Americans are. So there are also a lot of Asians. Yes, this is very true, Golden. That is very true. Sorry you're late. You're good. Okay, human take. God bless. Goodbye. All right. Agreed. I've been through things that our Native American goes through, being stereotyped as a Hispanic gangbanger. Wow, in Los Angeles, and that ain't cool. No, it's not. Okay, 7. What's good, King Hazy in the building? King Hazy, you know what to do. Only monsters celebrate. Yep, nobody's celebrating that. Don't something. Hey, woman, I hope you have a good day. I gotta go make myself something to eat before I die from starvation. Not really, but I'm sick and I need energy. Hope to see you around more. Well, hopefully you don't starve, okay? Hopefully you know how to cook and hopefully you know how to grow food. All right, gibberish. Let me see. Man going somewhere and she's not delusional. You know what? Y'all, you said, yo, yes, how much? Y'all can't accept the truth. Get out. Exactly right. Let me see. Blocking anybody who not respect the hostess. Yep, you sure is. You sure are. Charlie was changing his stance on Israel and Epstein. So that's what I heard. I heard that this really has something to do with the Israel thing. And I think he said he was more so on the Epstein's, I mean, it's not Epstein, Israel side. He agreed more with Israel as well. A lot of messages are being held by YouTube for review. I really don't, I can't see all the comments here, y'all, but I'm trying to go through y'all comments. What do you say about the statistics that they put out in 2023? Black people make the 85% of interracial murders in the US. Thanks for answering if you do get to see it. So, Mr. Yak, oh, sorry. If that is the case, if they are committing 85% of interracial murders, that is sad. And I do speak on this channel a lot to melanated people to get their act together. I don't know if y'all have watched my videos. This might be the first time that you're seeing me, but I don't just speak up like melanated people have it all together. No, I speak out against things that we need to correct in our community. I talk about the ignorance. I talk about the violence. I talk about things that we need to do better as a whole as well as a people. But I also talk about the injustices that we face because not all of us, such as myself, come from that type of background and that stereotypical race baiting that's pushed in the media. So I think sometimes people get the misconception when they come here and they hear me talk about things because they're only getting one perspective or one viewpoint at that time when I'm talking about a subject matter. But I address it from many different aspects, okay? I am a person that really supports unity amongst all, okay? I gear this channel towards melanated people because I'm a melanated person. All right. So you cannot expect me to go outwardly to another nationality first until I actually understand my own or address my own people. Like Kirk, or what's his name? Charlie Kirk. He can only say so much from what he observes, but unless he actually walks in the melanated shoes, there's only so much that he can talk about because he's not a melanated person, is what I'm saying. So, yes, we know that there's a lot of violence that takes place in the melanated community. I am not in agreement with that at all. I think it's dumb. I think it's ignorant. I think it's stupid. I talk about it a lot on this channel. I talk about the ignorance that goes on in our community and the fact that we need to be looking into more education and taking it more seriously because every time we turn around there are these issues going on. But I also cannot ignore the walk of life that I have faced as a melanated being, knowing that sometimes you don't provoke things to happen to you, but knowing when you're told by your attorney and told by other people that you're going to go through these things simply because you're female and oh, because you're melanated. And this person is a Caucasian female, by the way, that was representing me. All right. So I'm not just making blanket statements. I am saying what I've been through and other females that are melanated, what they've been through as well. And if people don't like it, you said you like my cat, thank you. If people don't like it, that's too bad. It's not going to negate the fact that this exists and that we're going to still talk about it. And if people don't like it, they don't have to sit here and listen to it. What state do I live in, Angel? Nice shirt. Thank you. It is the King of Spades, y'all. You are blessed. Thank you. I sure am, Adam. Charlie started criticizing Israel and mossed over Gaza. Check YouTube. Okay, I will look into that. I did see some commentary on that, and I did kind of hear some of his rhetoric on that as well. Same here. You're right about the Epstein files. Charlie believed all people had the spark of life, divine truth, spirit of God, and in them, and respected. I'm sorry, respected all life regardless of opinion. Okay, take care. All right. Let me see here. Trying to make a million people to say hi to me. Okay. Well, hi, Georgiana. Mr. Yax, when you say black people, you mean African Americans? Okay. Christians side with Israel. That's our thing. It's biblical. Who was the person that came up with the oxymoron term African American? You said, I like your shirt. Thank you. Agreed. The yellow is my third favorite color. Hi, you all. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so what you are getting at there, because the rest of the country can see the problem regardless of race, we sent blind. I'm not sure what you mean, Mill. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay. I don't know what you mean by that, but everybody that has come in has your voice is so soothing. Thank you. Thank you so much for everybody that has not the Israel government. Thank you so much, everybody that has tuned in. I do appreciate, whether you agree with me or not, whether you got offended by me or not, you still came in, you still checked me out, you still participated. If I felt like you were being disrespectful and rude and ignorant, you were blocked and you will not be coming back. Hi, Jason. All right, not the Israel government. You don't have black to see black issues. Oh, you said you don't have to be black to see black issues. Okay, I agree, Mill. I agree you don't have to be black to see black issues. Again, Mill, let me point out, I don't identify with the term black, okay? I consider myself a melanated person, Native American, indigenous person of this land. I was born here, and I just want to state that again. But yes, we can see there are many issues that have been actually orchestrated and socially engineered into the melanated community as well. So we can't overlook that, such as the Tulsa, Oklahoma bombings. We can't overlook the Equal Housing Act of 1968. We can't overlook a lot of things such as affirmative action that had to be put into place because of job discrimination and things that still take place, in the corporate plantation as well. We can't overlook these things. I hope you go live again because I actually need this Fox Galaxy. This is all good. I sure will. But y'all, I just wanted to come on here and touch on it. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last name. Monfalco. Yes, it is nice to get the perspective of other people, not necessarily agree. Okay, but to learn. What's your Cash App? Tom Ford, my Cash App is Cash App BGAB Clothing. Again, it's Cash App BGAB Clothing. But yes, March. So it's not really to come on here and attack Charlie Kirk. That man is unfortunately has lost his life, right? On a national platform for the world to see in front of his family. And from my understanding, he had a wife and very young children. I don't think anybody should be celebrating that. That is not my take and that's not my energy. But the thing is, there are certain viewpoints that I agreed with that he spoke about, and there are certain viewpoints that I did not agree with on his viewpoints, and such as I just told you about the college situation. I don't think that you necessarily in today's time need a college degree to be successful because the world is changing. It's not the same as it was 10, 15, or 20 years ago. AI, like he said, has taken over and is and will be taking over many jobs. Um, he did speak to the melanated men not being in the families. I speak about that on our channel a lot. And, so to say that I'm just trying to be one sided or I am celebrating his death, that's not what's going on over here. I'm just saying there are different vantage points that can, play a role into how people felt about him. How did I feel about Charlie? I have no feeling about Charlie because I didn't know him. So it would be very disingenuous for me to come on and say, oh, I am mourning the death of someone that I didn't know. I didn't know him until I kept seeing him pop up on my YouTube feed. And I said, let me investigate who this person was. And so, like I said, there are things that he talked about I agree with and things that I did not agree with. That is my take on it. Some people can't handle the truth. That is true. That's why the negative comments were being toxic. They deny the truth that was spoken and crystal clear. They're never, like I said on this channel, they're never going to, and I said this in a prior video, if you go back and look, they're never going to actually understand the magnitude of what I'm speaking about until they have empathy. And I'm not talking about sympathy, I'm talking about empathy. And if we keep ignoring it, it's going to have a spiraling and domino effect on other people. I just said this the other day on my video, and look at what happened to Charlie Kirk. Because Charlie Kirk said he did not believe in empathy. And this was coming from his own words. I actually watched a few video clips of him saying that. He said he didn't believe in empathy. So when people come on here and ask me, oh, how do I feel about him? Do I feel like he deserved to be killed or shot? That's not what I said. Well, regardless of whether he believes in it or not, I am an empathetic person. I am an empath by nature. And I empathize that his family had to witness that. But I don't agree with that, shooter doing what they did on the rooftop. I don't agree with the assassination of him. Just like I didn't agree with the assassination of John F. K. I'm sorry, JFK. I didn't agree with that either. That happened back in the 70s before a lot of us were born. And if you want to know who did that, that got tied back to the president, Bush, and a few other presidents, okay, in the political arena. Y'all, everybody, like I talk about on this channel, check out the documentary. It's called Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. All right. Media propaganda has been used strategically here in America to separate and divide. I talk about that all the time, especially in matters of race and division, male against female with the gender wars. I'm not for the segregation and the separation in that aspect. I do believe in unity. I do believe in having cultural diversity, which is what I actually enjoy mostly. Coming from that type of background, like I said, when I moved here to America, I started to see how segregated America is. And you can see that just by living in neighborhoods and going to different areas and traveling to different schools because I am a realtor and I am a substitute teacher. So these are things that I talk about that I've lived through. It's not that I'm making baseless claims with no merit. Okay? I'm not going to keep repeating that. That's why the negative comments, okay. The problem is you only listen to clips out of context. Alex in Chains. At least I listen to the clips. I'm not going to sit there and listen to 2 and 3 hours of Charlie Kirk. If you want to do that, go to your platform and do it. I don't feel the need to do that. So if you don't like it, too bad. Okay. All right. Trump is the beast. Okay. Gigi said hi. Hi. They are building the third temple in Jerusalem. Jesus is on the way. If you feel that way, Zach Sanders, your screen name is segregated. Okay, that's fine. If you feel like it's segregated, Nate, that is perfectly fine with me. We're living in a segregated country anyway. Okay. And until you go and actually address your politicians and the reason why we have segregated communities and schools that have less resources with these segregated resources, then you really don't have much to speak on with the name of my channel. Keep up the good work, Netta. Thank you so much. Another toxic comment. They don't like it too bad. Like you're not gonna make me change anything. You're not gonna make my opinion change. I'm just telling you what it is. Jesus said when they start building the third temple, just know KNOW, Zach, not no, NO. It's KNOW. Just know we are in the midst of the last 7 years. It's in Daniel's prophecy and Revelation. Read about the third temple. Okay. All right. All right, if you say so. Let me see. You said let's kick his segregated ass. Okay. All right, country bugging. All right. All right. So it's a lot of y'all are very it seems like a lot of y'all are very passionate about your viewpoints and about your political stances here. And I do want to say this. I want to touch on that. People ask me, am I Democratic? No. I don't subscribe to the Democratic campaign, and I'm going to tell you why. Am I Republican? No, I don't subscribe to the Republican campaign. I feel that being independent is the best way of thinking because you think for yourself. And I don't believe when they put the two evils in front of us and we have to pick the lesser of two evils. I don't believe in that. I believe that you have to think outside of the box. This is why we were given our own brains to logically think for ourselves. And there are a lot of people that have actually lost friendships behind politics. And I think it's crazy because some of these people you'll never meet in your life, you'll never know them on a personal level, yet and still people have lost friendships behind their political stances. So I don't agree with just being 100% Republican. I don't agree with being just 100% Democratic because I feel like you can agree with some of one and some of the other. So what does that make you? Do you have to be, put into a box or a category? I don't believe in that rhetoric. So that's just my take on it. If you don't like it, too bad. That's just me. Even YouTube had to put it in review. Okay. Okay. They number is down. Becky is hanging around Tyrone and Hector. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure. I'm kind of confused on your comment. Politics only divide us. Exactly, ecstasy. Humans are supposed to come together to make certain change happen. I feel that was basic stuff taught to us in elementary. Exactly. It's not what I say, it's what the Bible says. Okay, Zach. So actually, I do agree with ecstasy's comment. I wish I could pin your comment. Actually, happy Friday, Billy Thomas. Can I pin your comment? I'm gonna pin that because I love that. I love that ecstasy. Um, Politics is very divisive. And I feel that people go out of their way to misconstrue someone's words when it deals with politics because they are so hypersensitive when it comes to these topics. And instead of being able to like sit down and have a logical conversation without being so emotionally driven and charged, we are not going to get anywhere as a country, let alone as a people. Okay. And I think it starts there. And until people can actually hear what the other person is saying without being ignorant, without having, the gift of discernment, without having understanding, without having empathy, we're not going to get anywhere. So I'm not going to sit here and call Charlie Kirk any racist names. I'm not going to call, Caucasian people any racist names or do all this stuff about division and this because I don't believe in that. I actually one of my mentors is I consider her my mentor is an older Caucasian lady. Okay. She's a realtor as well. She was my realtor and I talk about it on this channel. And she, has been very supportive of me in my real estate profession. There are also other people that are melanated that I look up to as well. So I go off of how people treat me and I go off of, my personal interactions with people. And I see many different things on many different levels. So I'm not just going to, base this off of, okay, being Democratic or Republican, being one way or the other, because it's basically based off your life experience. And in my life experience, I can speak on a multitude of things because I've had a very diverse lifestyle. Okay. You said, haha, that's rich. That's what Charlie was trying to do, and y'all's D him. I don't know what you mean by that, Roman King. Wait a second. If after what you witnessed to Charlie Kirk and you still roll with the who said they roll with the Democratic Party, then you're choosing absolute ignorance and are of evil. Did y'all hear me say that I was rolling with the Democratic Party? That's not what I said. So maybe you need to go back and reevaluate what I just said. Let me help you. Charlie Kirk was evil and full of hate. Okay. After looking at his post and listening to the words out of his mouth, he was a horrible, evil person as a B and words matter. Okay. Can you say hi to Nikki? All right. You didn't hear it? Okay. Very well said. Ecstasy. It's so sad to see people celebrating Charlie Kirk's death and saying politics were involved. He had a wife and kids and was a human being so terrible. May he rest in peace. Exactly right, y'all. Um, like I said, you just never know. I really think that this was a hit. This was an attack on him. It was an assassination. I think this 22-year-old, because that guy was young. If he was 22-year-old, his name was Tom Robinson. There was definitely somebody behind it, somebody higher up that ordered this hit, and he was very accurate. So, one shot took Charlie out. This both sides rhetorical nonsense doesn't fly anymore. Look around. You is it normal that men can be women, men not standing up for women when they get attacked? Roman, I am having a hard time trying to understand what you're saying without proper punctuation in your sentences. Okay? So let me try to read this again. This both sides rhetorical nonsense. So, Roman King, if you don't agree with what I said and you feel like it's nonsense, why are you here? Okay? You don't have to agree with me. You can go start your own channel. Doesn't fly anymore. Look around. You is it normal that men can be women? I don't think that men should be women, and I don't think women should be men, if that's what you're asking me. I feel like the Creator made us who we were meant to be and gave us the genetic codes to be our the gender that we're meant to be, because we know that if you look at the brain of a female and the brain of a male, it is actually wired a little differently, as I learned in psychology, because I was going to be a psychology major as well. And there's something called the corpus callosum in the middle of the brain that actually joins the two hemispheres together, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. They said that the corpus callosum is a little bit thicker in the female's brain. All right. So no, I don't think that women can be men and men should be women, because I don't think that men should be trying to have babies. If you really want me to be honest, if that's what the creator wanted, then the creator would have made men the given men the organs to have babies. All right, simple and plain. I don't see animals going out here, and I don't see my cats, Tinkerbell and Prancer, saying, "Oh, I want to be a girl cat today," and then Tinkerbell saying, "I want to be a boy cat today." I don't see animals doing that. I don't see animals being gay. All right. So if I go off the natural laws of like animals and nature, I don't see you know, male trees, and female trees and plants saying, "Oh, let's switch gender roles today." If that were the case, we wouldn't have the fruit that we have today. Okay, we need the seeds. We need all the things that we have is male and female. The creator knew what the divine creator was doing when the creator developed this earth and this world and put everything in it. So don't tell me what I believe. You're making blanket statements because you want me to pick a side, and I'm not going to say that I'm a Democrat or a Republican, because I don't agree with picking one or the other. I said I believe in thinking independently for myself. And if you can't accept that, then too bad for you. Okay? All right. Let me keep going, y'all. Would you have my kid? You get 18 child support. If I wanted child support, I would have been had children with somebody that would have could have paid me child support. But that's why I say that you have to pick and choose your counterpart to procreate with. So if I was after child support, I could have gotten that a long time ago. I don't need anybody's child support. You're naive to think specifically Democrats came for Republicans. Big Janet, nobody said that. Where are you getting your information from? Nobody said that Democrats came for Republicans. You sound ignorant and you sound like you haven't been listening. So I'm going to do you a favor and remove you as well. Okay? Because that didn't come out of my mouth. Ooh, Netta said, may he rest in hell. Well, speak your mind, girl. I don't play about brown girls are beautiful. I know that's right, Fox. He will not be going to hell, but your destination is clear, Netta. Oh, y'all, stop going at it in the comment section. Be nice to Netta. They did not kill his spirit. His spirit will forever live on in white supremacy. Okay. So DC, we all know that energy never dies. It transfers, right? We learned that that is one of the laws of science. So we know that when we leave out of these bodies that we're in, that our souls are living in, our energy never dies, it transfers. That goes for all of us. Even the people you can't stand, unfortunately, they transfer. Okay? Yes, nature does speak for itself. That's right. Thank God for free will. Yes, Mother Nature speaks for herself. Y'all chill out. Definitely, y'all. So yeah, thank y'all. Like I said, thank you so much. I've been on here for about an hour now, but I want to say thank you to everybody that has tuned in that actually added real value and dialogue to the conversation. I appreciate you for that. He lost his life for his opinions, which is unfortunate. I agree. I think that losing your life over an opinion is very insane and is very what's the word I'm looking for? That's very intense, to lose your life over an opinion. But I think it's deeper than that, Elise. I think it's way deeper than that. I think it had something else. It was dealing with something far more beyond the surface. Let me see. Really would like to get a. Okay. It's crazy work, in my opinion. It is crazy work. All right, y'all. I'm going to sign out. Thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, for watching. Remember, like I always tell you, continue to walk in your divinity. Celebrate yourself, because if you don't, who else will? All right, you all stay blessed. So, why do you think he was assassinated? At least I don't know him well enough to know why he would have been assassinated. I would have to look more into, his background and stuff like that. So I don't want to come on here and just pretend like I know because I don't. Have a great day, Ecstasy. You too. All right, y'all. I am signing out. Every time I try to go, y'all keep making comments. Every reasonable person is condemning political violence. It is crucial that both sides move away from it. If dialogue stops violence, is all that's left to settle our differences. Okay. Yes, it was definitely political. All right, y'all. I'm going to go. I'm sorry that I cannot read all your comments. All right. I'll tune in with y'all later. Y'all, when I end the video, you can still comment in the comment section. Make it respectful or it will be deleted. Okay, y'all. Y'all have a very peaceful weekend. Okay. All right. Bye.